Hey, it's Michael with GLG America, and in this video I'm going to talk about accidental death and dismemberment coverage, also called AD&D. What that coverage is, kind of how it works, and then whether or not it's worth it to pick it up, and kind of my thoughts on AD&D in general. So let's talk about that. Now, AD&D is really two parts: accidental death, the AD, and then AND-D is dismemberment, where if you lose a limb, maybe if you lost your eyesight or speech. It depends on the provisions of the policy exactly what the dismemberment part would cover. That would be the second part of an AD&D policy. So I'm going to focus mainly on the accidental death part here as opposed to the dismemberment. Just realize that if unfortunately you had something like that happen, that dismemberment could be part of what you're talking about there. Now, statistically, you're more likely to die of an illness than of an accident. So, right off the bat, I guess the first thing I would want to stress to anybody is if you're going to pick up any AD&D coverage, you want to do that above and beyond any life insurance you feel that you would need that would pay no matter how you die, whether of an illness or of an accident, so that your beneficiaries aren't caught in a situation where you die of an illness and they don't get anything because you only had an accidental death policy. So make sure that you don't just pick up accidental death benefit coverage thinking that's going to do what it needs to do, because believe it or not, I've talked to families over the years who have had their family members pick up accidental death coverage and then they didn't die in an accident, and then the beneficiaries didn't get anything, and then they're not sure whether they got taken advantage of or whether the person who bought the policy knew that it only paid accidental death only, and it kind of puts your beneficiaries in a situation where it's really tough on them if you die of an illness and you only have an accidental death policy. So make sure you have adequate life insurance before you look at adding the AD&D on top of that. So now once you've done that, you can pick up the accidental death and dismemberment coverage through work, sometimes individually. Sometimes it's built into your basic group life plan and your supplemental term life plans. For a few extra cents, just automatically included in there, and a lot of plans are set up that way so that if you had $50,000 of basic group life and then you died in an accident, then instead of paying $50, you'd pay $100. You can also buy it. Sometimes it's not included in the basic and in the supplemental term life as a standalone group product, where you can pick up a flat amount of coverage. You can cover family, sometimes too, including your children. And if you do that, it's a few dollars, depending on the amount of the coverage that you pick up. Sometimes you can buy it individually if you want to too, and it worked probably a lot like the standalone, although you would have the coverage direct with the company instead of through your employer. I always look at it, if you're in a situation where you feel you're at a higher risk to die of an accident, let's say you travel a lot, you're on the road a lot, maybe you do high risk activities that maybe other people don't do. As long as those high risk activities weren't excluded by the policy, you want to make sure you looked at the policy. Or if you just feel like, hey, you just want to provide an extra cushion if something happened and you died in an accident, I don't have any problem with you spending a few dollars extra to pick up some AD&D coverage. And a lot of times, I often even encourage a couple bucks or so, a paycheck to do that kind of thing. And I've softened my stance on accidental death benefit coverage over the years, where before I was always like, statistically, you're just not going to die of an accident, because over the years I've had some people who wanted to pick up some AD&D coverage, and unfortunately then they died in an accident, and then I felt kind of bad that I didn't encourage them to take a look at it when they were interested in it. So just realize that if you want to spend a few dollars on accidental death benefit, death and dismemberment coverage, as long as you have enough life insurance above and beyond that pays whether you die of an illness or an accident, I don't see anything wrong with doing that. Just realize that if you do pick up an AD&D policy, the likelihood of it paying out is pretty small. So those are my feelings on accidental death and dismemberment coverage. You got any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you're on my YouTube channel, you want to subscribe and to my channel, that'd be great. All right, so I'm Michael. I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with.